Mr. Beacon podcast is sponsored by Wiliot, scaling IoT with battery-free Bluetooth.
Well, welcome to the Mr. Beacon podcast. It's been a little while. Things have been busy, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to talk to Jordi Casamada, who is the CEO of Accent, who are really a very major beacon provider that we haven't had a chance to cover. So Jordi, welcome to the show and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're in a beautiful part of the world. Where are your offices?
We have the headquarters near Barcelona in Spain. And this is a very nice place, very close to Barcelona, very convenient. And we enjoy weather like this almost every day. So it's a very good way to start your day.
Yeah, and your building is really quite iconic. Because normally, quite often we talk to beacon companies and they're pretty small. They're working out of a few rooms, but you have your own building, and the whole thing is painted in a very distinctive way. What kind of led you to take that approach, and how long have you been in this incredible facility?
Well, we have been in the business for the last 11 years, not only beacons, of course, but we are a technology company. We offer IoT solutions, and we have this building because we also have our own factory. So we needed this bigger space to have the warehouse, the production lines. We have people in the factory, we have people in the office. So we have 2,000 square meters in this building. But we changed the building 7 times in the last 11 years. So I think we arrived in this one 3 years ago already. So I hope to stay here for a long time, because as you can imagine, changing the building is a very tough work. You need to move everything, to plan everything. So it's not a very convenient way to spend your time.
Yeah, we're actually facing the same thing in our San Diego office, so I've put it off as long as I can. But you're actually making your beacons and other electronics there. Why did you decide to make your product in Barcelona rather than offshoring the manufacturing?
Actually, in the beginning of the company, we started to outsource this process in China. Actually, I was living in Hong Kong like 5 years ago. I was very familiar with the processes and so on. But nowadays, it doesn't make sense because everything, if you design correctly, everything can be assembled by automatic machinery. And what we do is specializing in some technologies, and then we can create these products using these technologies, and we reuse the same components and the same designs. We say that we have these standard hardware platforms, and that means that we can manage the same components for different projects. And this is a very optimized way to control your warehouse, your operations, even your production line. So this is why it's optimum to have your own factory if you have a scenario like this. Of course, this is a way to increase your fixed cost. But if you have volume enough, this is a good way to have a very short time to market process. And in the end, that means less time and best best cost for our customers.
How many people do you have in the company, and can you give us a sense of what those volumes are that you referred to?
Currently, we are like 30 people in the company, and as a reference, last year we produced 300,000 devices, including everything. Mm-hmm. So these are the numbers. Actually, a bit more. It was a bit more than 300,000 devices.
And can you give us a rough view of what you guys make? And maybe we should take a step back and just say, I introduced you as a beacon company, but you're a very, distinctive company, and you make a lot more than just beacons. So what if you meet someone in elevator, how do you introduce them? How do you describe what you guys do?
Okay, I think I need more than an elevator pitch to explain the story, but this is because probably it's our baby and we like to explain so much. But no, we started as a company that developed electronic products for others. It was 11 years ago, and we started a couple of people, and we designed only PCBs, but then we started to realize that the market was requesting something more, like not only one part of the process, but everything. Like, people expected electronics, but also firmware, also the housings, cloud applications, mobile applications, all those things. So we started to hire more people with different profiles and are starting to offer these different services around electronic products. And finally, then I went to Hong Kong. It was a kind of inspiration trip. I spent there half a year. And actually, I went to China so many times before, controlling our processes and so on. But it was a very good stay for me. It was a very deep change of my mindset. I met some people there that they were doing incredible projects, so it was a kind of inspiration for me. And I came back. We continued with our activity, and finally we got the factory as well. And nowadays we have an end-to-end process here. We offer end-to-end solutions, starting from the concept. Some companies approach us with a problem or maybe an idea. We help them to identify the potential solutions with the architecture, the different technologies that we can use for solving it, different elements like devices, clouds, apps, all these things. We can develop everything in-house. So we take 100% of the responsibility of this development. So we cannot say, okay, this is not working, but this is not our fault. So this is something that companies used to like. And finally, we have the factory, so we can produce all these things in the same place. So this is what we offer. IoT solutions for any kind of problems. So we are working in many different verticals with different customer profiles, different applications. So this is why it's interesting. Our job is always changing, is always solving something new. So this is quite interesting for engineers like us.
Yeah, and I'd like to, a little bit later on in the discussion, I'd like to talk about, in depth about some of the projects, but you really have taken Bluetooth to places where it's never been before, from beacons in Samsonite suitcases. You have a product, a female reproductive health product, so you're definitely taking Bluetooth to places it's never been before there. So very, incredibly creative, fascinating thing. I just want to go back to the comment you made about the inspiration you got in Hong Kong. What was that paradigm shift? What was it that you took away from Hong Kong that you didn't have when you went there?
Well, the situation here in Spain was really critical because the economical crisis. Everybody was talking about how hard was running a company, unemployment, all these things. So it was the standard conversation that you could have in an elevator. And we were starting our company. It was like 2008, 2009. So everybody was talking like this. And it was very hard to get energy to do something bigger, no? So at some point, I was traveling to China sometimes for controlling these small processes at that point. And my hub was Hong Kong. I always went to Hong Kong first and then went to the mainland China. So I knew very well the city. It was a very dynamic city with a lot of energy and so on. So I decided to go there. And I spent this 6 months there, and we opened let's say a sales office there. We started to get some contacts, international companies. So I had a very good experience there, not only for the business but also in the personal way. And I met so many people, some of them just brought some inspiration, but some others, they are still our clients. So it was a very interesting way to open our mind. So it was like that, a very good energy.
And what was it that inspired you to get into the beacon space, the Bluetooth beacon space?
Yeah, actually, we were approached by several companies at the same time asking for the same thing, something called beacon. And they were asking to develop a beacon and production for 1,000 units or something like that. And we said, okay, why everybody's asking for the same thing now? So we investigated a little bit and we said, okay, maybe it's more interesting for us developing our product and selling 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 instead of selling the IP to just one of them. So this is how we started to think about the iBeacon, and we did it like that. So it was our first 3,000 units that we sold at that point.
And so now you're over 300,000 units a year. Can you give us some color in terms of what, because you have maybe we can use this to talk about your range of products as well, because you have a number of interesting products, from basic beacons to a narrow band IoT, Bluetooth gateway. I think you have a directional hub under development. So can you describe the volume and which of the products is driving the volume for you?
I would say that probably only 20% of our sales are coming from standard beacons and the IBKS that you probably know. Mm-hmm. But the rest of revenue is coming from customized projects. So we did this key finder for Volkswagen. We did marketing gifts for banks. Now are working really hard for access control devices. So things like that. So this is more or less the colors. When a big company has a big project, they are not normally purchasing the standard product. So this is why Accent is a good partner for doing this. They come with the idea. Maybe they can use the standard products for POC, but then when they want 100,000 of units or something like that, they require a lot of changes or maybe something from scratch. Mm-hmm. And this is the gap that we are covering in the market.
And what is your view of the market? We saw the Google announcement recently that they're retiring nearby. So Eddystone URL will no longer pop up on the lock screen of Android devices. What's your take on that? And is the Bluetooth beacon market dead now, or is it just going through an evolution?
I think it's changing, but it has been changing all the time from the very beginning, right? Even we have been working together with Google to develop the first TID protocol and so on. So we had really involved in this technology. I think they never supported in the real way. No, it's like they did the PR, they were supporting it, but some time ago they already stopped the support on the iOS version in Chrome. Mm-hmm. So it's not surprising that now they are dismissing it in the Android version. But as you know, they are now using Bluetooth Beacon for something related to the AdWords. It's not clear yet what is the strategy, but I think it's consistent with the nature of Google's business, right? So it's changing. Probably everybody was thinking that Beacon was created for proximity marketing, but again, from the very beginning, we saw amazing use cases, super different than a proximity marketing solution. So we are changing the projects, we are changing the use cases. So that means that the potential customers' profile is different than before, but this is happening all the time.
Yeah, my dog's joining in the discussion in the background. So, but So in terms of the impact on projects that this is going to see, do you expect this retirement of Nearby to have a serious dent in your sales?
Not actually, because I think people that used to purchase beacons for this use case, they were just buying small kits for small shops or small businesses. So this is not a big impact for us because we were more involved in big projects. We have actually a process to configure the beacons automatically. So we have some tools for big deployments, and this is approaching that makes sense for big projects, for big companies. So I don't think this is a big impact. It's a pity, of course. We will see how this is evolving inside Google strategy. But anyway, I don't think this is a big impact for us.
And of course, Eddystone UID is still useful, and you can still track other beacon formats within Android. It's not like you can't use a beacon on an Android phone. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Actually, if you have an app, I think you can manage protocols in many different ways. So this is not an issue, I think.
What about discovery? I mean, maybe this is a good way to segue to some of your customers, but what are you seeing? So if we don't have Eddystone URL, what is left available to get people from no app to having an app? In the United States, we have a number of networks of companies that have SDKs in free apps, and they're, to me, this is good for them. They're, if you have an SDK in 100 million news and weather apps, which companies like Reveal have, there's companies like InMarket who have SDKs in applications like Epicurious and WebMD that have tens of millions of downloads, then they're still in the business of engaging with beacons, even though someone may not have a particular brand's app. You may have a brand of Parmesan cheese where people are not going to have a Parmesan cheese app, but they can use those. Is there anything like that in Spain? How are you seeing companies and brands who kind of want to get into the beacon space, get into it, and overcome this hurdle of, not everyone can have a groundbreaking mobile app?
Yeah, I think this is not only in Spain. Of course, we are operating everywhere in the world, and we see the same scenario everywhere. And I think this is the biggest barrier for the proximity marketing. You need to create this audience. This is why we were involved in these projects like Volkswagen or Samsonite, because they have a lot of users, so they are creating the community immediately, And but again, now if they cannot use the Eddystone URL, they need to partner with some other applications with a lot of users. So this is the key point for the proximity marketing use case for the beacons. You need to create this audience, and this is the most critical point for most of the projects. But the only way is to partner with a bigger app in some way and get this channel.
Yeah, I was really interested. Yelp is obviously very big in the States. That's beacon aware. Shazam has been beacon aware for many years, and of course Facebook is as well. And my sense is that the advertising companies, Facebook and Google, still have an interest in using beacons as a way of doing attribution to see, okay, someone saw an ad, did they go into a store? And, personally, given what Wiliot's doing with tags that will be passive and be embedded in products, then I see that attribution going, not just did they go into the store, but did they pick up the product? And so I think those companies have a huge opportunity with beacons, and they obviously have the hooks to leverage that. Are you seeing, do you have a perspective on that, or should we focus on some of the other projects?
Well, I have my own opinion, but again, this is just a personal opinion, and take it like this only. Okay. But yeah, I saw some news last week about Google is spreading some beacons in small businesses, and this is not clear the final intention, but I think it's we can assume that what they are trying to do is combining this beacon technology for AdWords application. So yeah, they are solving the audience thing because everybody is using Android or Google Chrome or something like that. So they already have this audience. This is the difference between a regular company and Google. Facebook, they also have a big audience. So all these companies, they have the channel. They only need the beacon. Sometimes the small companies or smaller companies have the opposite situation. They have the app, they have the beacons, but they don't have the users, right?
Yes.
So this is my opinion. This is why probably Google dismissed the Eddystone URL, but now they are trying to integrate this beacon functionality on the AdWords program. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it's kind of interesting because they're making it harder for the small companies to ramp up on beacons, but they don't have that problem because they have the footprint. Can you tell us a bit about the Samsonite project, the suitcase project? That's really a classic, and I think it was the most prominent deployment of Eddystone EID, their ephemeral standard. Can you tell us the story behind that and how that's gone?
Yeah, as you can imagine, we have an NDA in place, so I cannot share more information than the one it's public. But yeah, it started like all the project starts. They came to Axon and they explained the problem, which is obvious. People want to have controlled the suitcase. They want to track. They had the community of users, but they are facing some legal issues or regulation issues. As you know, IATA and airliners, they don't like to have these smart things on the plane, especially when you have to check in the luggage and you are not controlling it because of the battery, because of the emissions of signals. And this is the situation. They are facing few things like that.
Yeah, that's challenging, but it's a great idea. Tell us about some of the other projects that you guys have been doing with beacons, where the beacon has been embedded in a consumer product.
Probably the most successful for us is the Volkswagen Key Finder. It was not only a beacon, but it was a way. We included an iBeacon frame on this device, so it was a way to control when the app was close to the keys. And we created this app, and all the community, everyone that got a Volkswagen car in Spain, Turkey, and New Zealand, they got a key finder like this, and it created automatically a big community. So it was interesting for the brand, because this is a way to almost obligate the user to download an app, accepting the terms and conditions, and opening a new two-ways communication channel. So it was a way to get some information from the customer, and then activating the push notification with the relevant information as usual. But it was one of the interesting use cases. It was not a beacon for proximity marketing, but we changed the architecture. We put the beacon on something that it was movable. And actually, it was the beginning of the discussion about the Eddystone EID, because some privacy issues came with this project. We needed to protect the privacy of the users. So this is why all the companies started to think about, okay, we need to rotate the MAC address, we need to rotate everything to ensure that we can identify the user, but we are the only company or only system that is able to identify the user, not anyone else. It was especially important for the Samsonite project. You know, when you are traveling and depending on who is the person that is bringing the suitcase, it's quite critical to keep the identity of this person. And yeah.
What proportion of your tags or beacons use an ephemeral ID versus some kind of static ID?
Not that much, because it's quite complex to ensure that you will keep the temporary rotation in place. So in the case that you need to replace the battery or something like that, you can create an issue, because then you lose the synchronization between the device and the cloud. And as you know, this is end-to-end encryption, and they are rotating at the same speed. And this is quite critical. It's not, in my opinion, it's not a good solution for all the use cases. So if you can avoid it, then it's better. You are safer.
Yeah, we've in our tags we have no batteries, and so we've definitely been dealing with that, and I think there's a lot to be said for eliminating that synchronization issue. Okay, let's talk about your NB-IoT gateway product. That's really interesting. It's fairly new, I think. What are the use cases where you're bridging kind of the wider area network with a Bluetooth connection?
Yeah, it's not quite new. Actually, we launched the product 2 years ago.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but yeah, it was probably a bit too early because of the maturity of the network. You know, NB-IoT, now last week we saw this launch between Twilio and T-Mobile. They are now starting to offer the connectivity. But yeah, we got the opportunity actually because of the Samsonite project. It was an asset tracker because this device can be a connected beacon, it can be an asset tracker, and it can be a gateway as well. It depends on how you configure the device. And yeah, we got the opportunity. We started to create a device like this, but still dealing with the network.
Yeah, that's another layer of complexity. On your website, you show the device embedded in a pallet. Is that a real-life use case that you've...
Yes. Yeah. During these 2 years, we have been doing a lot of POCs. Actually, we have been working really hard with mobile operators because even they have the network already working. Probably they don't have a commercial plan and so on, but they finally need to test the network and so on. So we started to do some POCs with specific clients and so on. We have more than 800 units spread around the world, especially in Europe, some in US, small cities in Asia like Hong Kong, Singapore, Middle East as well. So we have POCs everywhere testing it. And this video, I think you are talking about a video that we published some month ago. This is a real POC. We are testing the technology to track the assets during the transportation, so we can collect things like temperature, shock detection as well, and especially the location. We are using several technologies, so this is a good way to have a second life for beacons. Mm-hmm. So we are using Bluetooth beacons for indoor location. This is high definition localization for indoors. But we also use Wi-Fi to triangulate and get the location. You don't need to have your own Wi-Fi network. So even when you are in the street, we scan for the MAC address of the surrounding networks, and we resolve the location using third parties databases like Google's API, Here Maps, all this. And finally, we use the satellites like GPS, GLONASS. So this is a way to get a location in open spaces. And we use Narrow Band IoT, LTM, to transmit this information to the cloud, which is a very efficient way because of the power consumption and the cost of the subscription.
This is a very sophisticated, complicated building block here. It's a long way from this simple tag with a coin cell battery.
Yeah, it's a totally different device, but we had this vision 2 years ago. We really thought that it was the next step for a beacon company. And actually, I think it's that finally demonstrated that everybody is now approaching these asset tracking projects and functionalities. Of course, it's more complex than a beacon, but it has so many other things stuffed in the device. But this is these technologies, new technologies, open new opportunities that it couldn't be resolved in the old and classical technologies.
Where do you see the future? What are the applications that will drive beacon volumes for you? It sounds like these POCs are fairly low volume at the moment.
Yes, for the asset tracker, for this IoT tracker, of course, this is again an issue because of the maturity of networks. Now this is increasing, but specifically for the beacons, we think that this is a very good way to promote beacon technology, because we have clients with big buildings. They need to track assets in the warehouse, airports, things like that. So we don't have the classical barrier, like we don't need an app or something like that. This is a totally different strategy, totally different approach. We have these beacons, we have these trackers. You don't need anything else. So this is a very good way to track everything inside these buildings with accuracy and really low power consumption.
Well, Jordi, this has been really fascinating. I really appreciate your giving up some of your time to give us an insight to what you've been doing and what you're doing in the future. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me again.
What songs they would take on a trip to Mars?
So if I had to decide for 3 songs, I would say Better Together by Jack Johnson, because it reminds me a nice moment. Highway to Hell by AC/DC, which is pure energy. So this is like a very good way to start a hard day.
Excellent.
Maybe Someday by Passenger, because when you are very stressful, you used to think about, okay, someday I blah, 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 and it's a nice song as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for indulging us with that little tradition.